deal. So this is me finally not talking to myself for the first time. I'm actually talking to someone else. I'm with someone who I found out about on Instagram, Dylan's View. Thank you, Dylan's View, for underscore Dylan's View. Thank you so much for being a part of this and talking to me today.
No problem at all. No problem.
Yeah. So little bit about from what I know about you, man. I see that you're shooting on an X-T4, potentially even analog also. I started up on Instagram like 3 weeks ago. I've taken a hiatus and then jumped back on just because I wanted to jump back on, and I just miss seeing people's photos. You were one of the first people I saw and actually gravitated to just because of where you're from, the shots you're able to get and things like that. I think it's pretty amazing. So where exactly are you from in the world?
I am from the UK, and then within the UK I'm from Wales, but I'm half English, half Welsh, so that's, my accent's a bit weird, bit half and half. So yeah, I'm currently in Cardiff, which is the capital of Wales, but I'm not actually from here. I'm from a different place, which is just about 30-40 minutes away. But yeah, called Monmouthshire, but no one probably knows what that is. So
Well, cool deal, man. So I like your photos, man. I really do. I love your composition. I love your colors. I've just, like I said, I've just been I love everything that you put out. Everything looks intentional. I love the way that you use lead lines every single time to get you to the main subject. The way you composition with roads, with corners. I'm a huge fan. And so I'm not sure if you do this professionally or if this is just a hobby or how long you've been doing this, but how long have you been just, whether it's hobby, professionally, whatever, what got you into photography and how long have you been down this road?
well, I'm currently a student studying photography at university level, and so it's doing a degree in photography, which I kind of regret a bit, but but anyway, that's kind of the way things stand at the moment. Yeah, I started probably when I was about, I'd say 17. I'm 24 now, so 17, 18, and I started mainly because my dad has always been a photographer, and he kind of got me into it a bit, and I started when I was 17, 18, and then I kind of stopped for a while. And then a few years ago, I got back into it big time. And I started trying to think artistically and had a kind of a vision for things. And obviously that's constantly evolving. But that's really where I stand now. I'm just constantly evolving. Yeah, so I've been into it for about that amount of time. And it's pretty much constant for me, seeing as I'm studying it. So I have to kind of continually progress and evaluate my own work. Which can be stressful at times, but yeah, photography is basically everything I do at the moment.
No, that's pretty cool, man. Now you said you're studying it. Is this were you thinking of photojournalism? Was it just something that you already had a hand for, so you just went in that direction, or what exactly was the meaning?
Yeah, well, I've always been decent at photography, so people have always told me I have an eye for things, and I thought, well, I don't really want to study an arts degree, so I was going to start computer science kind of thing, like programming. I did start that briefly, and I kind of thought maybe it's not for me, and I should probably do where my heart takes me, go where my heart takes me, and it was toward artistic things, photography, things like that, and try to express myself. I think I'm thinking a little differently now as time's gone on, and I've realized I don't really want to be a photographer. I don't think. For example, when you study photography at degree level, a lot of people would like to go and be a freelance photographer and then work in the industry in one way or another. I really don't want to do that, and I'm still kind of trying to figure out what I want to do. So I guess we'll see. But in terms of photography, I'm not too into like advertising stuff or anything like that. I kind of just go where my heart takes me, I guess.
No, that's cool, man. So you said that your dad got you into it. Is that because, so he's a family photographer, meaning that he just is the guy that always carried around a camera? Because my grandfather was always the one with the camera. He had a whole bunch of Yashica, SLRs and things like that. And he would constantly be carrying one. Anytime we went somewhere on the weekends, he would just be snapping away pictures. And we have all those photos now. Is that something that you just wanted to pick up because your dad did it, or because you just randomly found the gear and decided, maybe I should try this myself?
Remember, really, I know that he used to take a lot of photos, and he's always used Canon. He's always shot Canon for his whole life. He's using a Sony right now, but he always used to shoot Canon. So I just remembered, he used to shoot a lot, and we have unbelievable amounts of negatives that he's just got stored away. And whenever we had family photos, things like that, he was always the one that would shoot. It was never anyone else. So he's also done some professional stuff too, and he's done a book or two as well.
Oh wow!
So he knows his thing. He knows his stuff. He's not too much into it these days. He does have a different job, obviously, but I guess it was that got me into it. And I'm not gonna lie, I can't really remember. I think I remember seeing him take photos, and I kind of thought, well, I want to give it a go. So he bought me my first little entry-level DSLR in like 2015. And I just started then, and I started editing, and I just quite liked it. Yeah. And I still, obviously the good thing is I think if you're always on the right trajectory when you feel like you haven't hit your potential yet. Mm-hmm. And I think that no one ever should really feel like they've hit their potential. Otherwise you're not progressing. So I really definitely do not feel like I've hit my potential. So that's kind of what drives me forward, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. Honestly, that's pretty exciting considering the shots that you have now. On the shots that are on your Instagram, and I've seen your dylansview.com and things like that. Now, are these all? Where do these range? Are these all shots just done recently, as far as shooting on your X-T4? Are some of these Are some of these old shots from whenever you shot on that little DSLR? Like, what kind of gear are you using right now, and how have you progressed, and what do you like nowadays?
Everything you see on my Instagram and on that website is within the last 6 months, I'd say. I was using Sony for a long time, well, for about a year and a half. And before that, I was using Canon DSLR, but I thought, make the switch to mirrorless. I switched to Sony. I really loved it. And then kind of thought, why not try some Fuji? Because I quite like their video capabilities too. So switched over to Fuji, really got into Fuji. I love Fuji now. But I started shooting 35mm film as well. And I did get a little bit obsessed with that for a while, if I'm being honest. And a lot of the shots on my website are 35mm film. But as of right now, I'm trying to tear myself away from it a little bit. Well, number one, because it's expensive. And and number two, because I think I have one of the best Fujis, crop Fujis that they make. Why am I not using it? So I'm trying to not force myself to use my Fuji, because it's a great camera, but I'm trying to, fight against my ambition to shoot 35mm. I shoot a roll here and there now.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, I've noticed that. So one thing I do want to ask, because I had kind of a similar experience in the fact that, so I started off with a film camera, shooting film, and I wasn't good at it. I mean, honestly, the first time I sent to Walgreens, it's I don't know what your corner pharmacy would be that also does develops film would be.
We don't have one anymore.
Oh, wow. See, so we have a place called Walgreens. I send that off, and it's really cheap place. It comes back and, everything's underexposed. Second time, I think I had a whole bunch of overexposures and, just didn't really know about exposure triangle. Eventually got okay with it, moved on to Canon DSLRs. I had a 5D Classic and then a Mark II. And then from there, I just wanted something smaller. So I moved to Micro Four Thirds with that. Yeah. And then that was actually fun. Shooting on Olympus was fun. That got me into APS-C. I started shooting Sony because I liked, I had to shoot more video for a job that I had. Then I switched to Sony full frame. And then I switched to actually Canon and Fujifilm together. And now I just shoot Fuji. And I got back into film for a little bit, and just like you said, it's expensive. And over the past 2 years, Ultramax went from, I think it was like maybe $2 to I think it's like $4 just for 36 or something. Oh yeah, don't worry about it. As long as I've got your audio while you're fixing that, so I just kind of wanted to. get that same feel. That's actually what moved me to Fujifilm more, was because, and actually sold all my Canon gear, was just because of the film simulations, the film recipes. What exactly for you, do you use film recipes a lot? Do you feel like it compares decently enough with film? Does that scratch your itch? What are your thoughts on that?
It's a difficult one because I kind of feel like when I'm using the film presets in Fuji, I feel like I'm cheating a little bit. And I think my favorite one is Classic Neg. I love Classic Neg. I'm using it on my webcam right now as a preset. I'm using it. It's really nice, and it's for sure my favorite one. I think that one does the best with replicating things. I think the monochrome ones do well as well.
Yeah.
But I think I don't really use like bleach bypass and things like that. I don't touch any of the other stuff. I just use classic neg simulations, and I think it's okay, but I always edit from there as well. But I don't know if there's a lot of different color negative films, so it's kind of hard to, I'd almost go on my camera, sorry.
No, don't worry.
It's kind of hard to do that, but I think that it's pretty good anyway. I used to edit with a lot of film presets that I found in different places, and that was helpful as well. And it really kind of made me want to shoot more film. So, yeah, I think they're good, and I think if you have a chance to shoot film, you really should at least shoot a few rolls. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I've still got some medium format. I actually think I got it accidentally sent to me by B&H, but it's a Fuji Pro 400H, and so I'm tempted to actually buy a medium format, like a little Holga, a 120, just to shoot those 5 rolls and get it over with and get it out of my system. But I personally, the film workflow, that's the biggest thing that holds me back from actually getting back into film, just because it's pretty cumbersome. And I have a certain position when it comes to film, especially with new shooters, just because I don't like them to get discouraged. I sometimes miss a DSLR. Personally, I actually have been tempted to buy another 5D Classic with a nifty 50 and to go shoot that. But what would you say your favorite camera of all time has been? What is your favorite camera that you've used? Doesn't matter if it's film, full frame, APS-C. What's been your most fun?
I'd say that I loved my Sony A7 III. I loved it.
Yeah.
And Sony's a slippery slope though for me because the lenses are so expensive.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not too sure. I have no idea what's going on my webcam. My apologies.
No, don't even worry about it.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I would see. I mean, like the Fuji lover in me right now would say my current X-T4, but I really don't think it's fair to say that because I'm currently using it. I guess I don't really have a favorite. When I shoot film, I shoot a Canon FTB, which has a really nice quick load function on it, where you don't really have to put it into the spool or anything. That's really nice. I wouldn't necessarily say I have a favorite. Definitely wouldn't say I had a favorite.
I got you. Now, so you've shot with some Canon as far as film. You shot with Sony. I'm guessing you've had Canon DSLR and Fujifilm. Do you have a preference in glass or something like that? What have you had a lens that's ever stood out to you or made you want to go out there and shoot? Do you have a favorite right now that you're shooting with?
Yes. Well, I currently love my 35mm f1.4 for Fuji, the one that keeps turning off continuously as we speak.
Oh yeah, don't worry.
And, other than that, I had when I was shooting Sony, I used the 55mm f1.8 Zeiss.
Really sharp.
That lens is ridiculous. It's ridiculously nice. I would say overall that was probably my favorite, but I also had a Super Takuma f1.4 from Pentax that was made in 1966, I think.
Oh wow.
1964, and they're quite legendary. And it was like the 8-element version, the proper Japanese ones. They're quite rare these days, and that was nice, but it was weird. Like it was really soft and odd. But I knew that it had like a lot of respect behind it and a lot of history. So I think that might have been why I liked it so much, because I knew the kind of status it held.
Yeah.
But I guess actually optically, it wasn't really my favorite.
Now, when you're shooting, because I know you said you love the 35 1.4, do you have? I mean, are you the kind of person that whenever you're purchasing a lens, you watch reviews, you look at charts? Do you look for corner softness? Do you look for how sharp a lens is? I mean, are you one of the people that dives down a review rabbit hole? What are the things that you're looking for in a lens? Is it just sharpness? Is it character? Is it how fast it is? Is it what exactly you're looking for?
I always shoot with primes. Never buy zooms at the moment. Maybe in the future I will buy zooms, but as of right now, I'm really not interested in zooms. When I'm looking for a lens, do I look at those things? Yes, I do. I think I let them control my opinion a little too much. It depends on what you shoot. If you shoot, I think if you shoot like professionally and you're shooting portraits for people and that's your job and you're shooting freelance and stuff, I think that does make sense. But I think maybe for what I shoot, it doesn't really make any sense. If you're shooting more for yourself, I don't necessarily think that looking for corner sharpness and chromatic aberration, all these things, I don't necessarily think it matters too much. I think it really depends. And I think, people need to educate themselves on what they're buying. But I think people should be able to kind of figure out if it matters that much themselves. For example, with this, one thing I loved with the Sony Zeiss 55mm, the autofocus was unbelievably good. It was ridiculous, and Sony obviously are known for that. With this Fuji, the autofocus does irritate me a bit, but they have things that say that like for a new lens, a newish lens, it has a ridiculous amount of character, I think, for a new lens, because most of them are really clinical. And it's nice. It looks nice. It shoots really well, apart from the autofocus sometimes. But other than that, I mean, it's a £350 here, £350 lens. It's really not the end of the world. Whereas you buy some like Sony lenses and they're like £2,000, £3,000, £1,500. And I guess it does make a difference for me, but only at specific times. I think that if you're just getting into photography, don't worry about that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, man. So the lens that you're shooting most of your work on, it comes to your Instagram, I'm guessing that's your 35 1.4.
That's my only Fuji lens.
That's your only Fuji lens. Okay, so you're rocking, okay, because see, I was doing the same thing up until recently. For the longest time, I was only rocking that 35 1.4 because I've owned a few Fuji lenses, and even with Sony, and it was just because of the work that I did. I had to own different lenses, and that's one of the things with Sony and Canon is I was really, really, really paying a lot of money for their lenses. And I always tell people whenever they're looking at a system, you're basically buying for the lenses, because autofocus and stuff like that, it depends what you're doing. For portrait photography, it may not be the biggest deal if you have to wait a couple extra seconds and someone's waiting there. If you're doing sports photography, by all means, just go straight away to Sony and Canon. Just bypass everything. But one thing that I always think about just whenever I'm buying gear is I really, really, really look into character. And one of my actually favorite lenses of all time is just like you said, that Zeiss lens. And I've actually used a couple of Zeiss lenses for Fujifilm. But my favorite lens for character is the 18f2. Do you have a favorite lens or do you have a lens that basically you used and you said, okay, these are my favorite photos of all time, whether it's a quirky lens, whether it's soft, whether it's sharp, whether it's the weird Helios bokeh? What is your favorite lens and body combination you've ever used?
I do have a Helios for my Pentax Spotmatic. I haven't used it very much. The Helios is nice, but then again, I couldn't shed too much light because I haven't used it very much. But I guess Sony made me realize how much I love 50mm. The 50mm length is my go-to. I feel like for the most part, I don't need anything else. When I had Sony, I would shoot 85, 35, 55. But 50mm is where I go to. And in terms of like my favorites, I guess just that 50mm focal length is good. This Fuji lens for the price is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And that Super Takuma I used was really nice. I didn't really use it enough, I don't think, to warrant having it. It was nice, but it was, like I said, it was a bit weird. So I'd say it depends what you shoot once again, but depending on that is how people make the decision. And I think that my favorite one is just anything 50 mil. I'm not too picky, to be honest. The first 50 mil I ever used was when I used to use a Canon 6D. I had the cheap plastic fantastic 50 mil f1.8. I love that thing. It was good.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, and I think if for me, I don't shoot professionally really very much, so I don't really care.
I got you.
Now there is so someone actually put on her story, and she mentioned me, and that's the reason I know about it. But she mentioned, because I shouted you out in another video I made on YouTube. I've only been doing YouTube for about 2 weeks, but I did a video saying people that I think, if you're looking for inspiration on YouTube, this is who you should follow, is the way that I put it. And her name's Caitlin, I believe. Yeah, that's your sister. Okay. Oh, so when she said brother, she really meant brother. So she talked about a book that she did, and that you shot some for a book that she did. Do you is that correct? Do you mind
shedding some light on that?
Yeah. She has a book. I think it's called The Warm Between Storms. I think it's called, and it's a poetry book which she wrote. And my phone was gone again. It's a poetry book she wrote, and it's really nice. Yeah. She did a bit of a crowdfund thing for it, and it's really good. Yeah, she wrote some good stuff. And she's we're all artistic in our family to a certain degree. So I think that's kind of her photography. She kind of gets on with it and does that. So yeah, it's really nice. She's very supportive of me.
Good deal. So some of your shots that you took, were they specifically for the book, or is it something that
she really wanted kind of like a dark street with like some lights on. So it would be like, I kind of walked around near where I live in Cardiff and looked for some, but it was the winter, obviously, so it was easy to find a dark street with like some nice warm lights on. So I would walk around and specifically look for that. And I used to, during that time, I had a kind of an obsession with shooting at nighttime.
Yeah.
So it was nice for me to do it anyway, because I loved going out at night and shooting. I shot the front cover for it, and I think it turned out quite nicely. It printed a little bit darker than I originally intended.
Good deal, man. Yeah, I once again, I'm just looking through your photos, and I'm at the point now where I understand what you're talking about, where you said you had a obsession with shooting at night. A lot of great low light shots. I'm not sure if that's on your Sony, or if you shot that on film, or if you shot it on.
I mainly shot nighttime stuff on my Sony, because the ISO performance is ridiculously good.
Fantastic, yeah.
But I, if I'm being honest, when I was reading reviews of the X-T4 before I got it, the Fuji X-T4, I saw people saying that Sony is always better with low light. I've got to be honest, I think the opposite. Because Fuji has 6.5 stop IBIS, depending on what lens you have. And to me, that makes the biggest difference. The biggest difference. If you keep your ISO at like 1600 maximum, and then you can shoot shutter speeds anywhere as low as like 1/8 of a second, and you can get okay shots as long as you hold your camera and you proper position yourself.
Yeah,
you can pull it off, and that's much more than you can do with the Sony. The Sony is much better than the IBIS and the Sony. In the IBIS. In the IBIS. Than in the Sony A7 III. It's much better.
Yeah, see, I actually had the Sony A7 III before I switched over to, and the company that I was working for, one of the guys was also a camera head. He was actually, he was like, what are you doing? Are you sure you want to do this? That's APS-C. And so it became this big thing. I actually switched to the X-T3 and the XH1. And it became this big thing at my work where, because I provided my own gear, where, it's going to change quality and stuff. And I never had an issue with it. The XH1, the IBIS was actually really good in that. So a lot of the handheld stuff that I was doing, I just noticed that I was a lot more comfortable, especially with the build and with the size of the lenses, because shooting with Sony lenses, even their cheaper kind, like the 85 mil 1.8 that people see as a budget lens, even with that, once you put a battery grip on that Sony, it's getting pretty heavy. So I completely agree with that. Now, one thing I did want to ask is just because from the way you're shooting, I wasn't sure. Who do you look at? Who are some inspirations that you come from? Do you own any books? Do you know any famous, or do you have any famous photographers that come to your mind? Like, who exactly influences you nowadays?
I guess I grab a little bit from everywhere. I change a lot as well. For a while, one of my biggest inspirations was Sean Tucker, who's a he's a photographer. He does a lot of different stuff, but on Instagram, I think he's just called Sean Tuck, and he takes some really nice street photography shots. He's ridiculously nice. He wouldn't categorize himself as a street photographer, but in terms of his composition, he was great, Sean Tucker. But I guess generally there's not really anyone that I look to. I guess I kind of, and I'm not very good with names, so I kind of just look around everywhere, and I feel like I kind of grab aesthetic and colors and ideas better than I do names. So yeah. I could probably refer you to shots if I was looking at them rather than names.
Gotcha.
We do study a lot of photographers, and I do take some things from them, but I would be lying if I told you I remember too many names.
Gotcha. No, I completely, I'm cool with that, man. No, I just from looking, and I just looked at Sean Tucker, and I can understand what you're talking about with him now. I'm surprised. I mean, I guess I understand if he does everything, he wouldn't consider himself a street photographer, but a couple of the shots that first pulled up looked really amazing. But yeah, man, everything that I see, I mean, every time, I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure how you popped up on my feed. What happened? Maybe I was in a hashtag Fujifilm or Fuji Lover, Fuji Mag something. Yeah. And I think we ran across each other, but yeah, I mean, sincerely, since I got back on Instagram, and it's only, like I said, it's only been a few weeks. It's just been crazy. Everything that's, I've been able to see. The work you're doing is fantastic. A lot of my favorite shots from Instagram are actually from your page. So, man, I'm not sure, you know, if this photography thing doesn't work out for you, man, I'm telling you, good luck in whatever you do, and I hope you don't stop shooting, because I just can't speak enough. And I'll put shots of all your stuff on the screen whenever I play this back and put it on the channel. But I mean, the creativity, like I said, the way you work with lead lines, and it makes sense that you're studying photography, just because every shot looks super intentional. It looks well thought out, and it doesn't look like you're just picking up your camera and just shooting. And it really looks like you're intentional, and you look at your composition before. And I mean, it's in the little things and in the details, and you're really, really good with the details, man.
Thank you. I appreciate the compliments. Same to you as well. You know, you say you've only been on Instagram a few weeks, but you're doing really well as well. I find Instagram really hard because it's a bit of a pressure. And I think everyone would like to have all the followers and all this kind of stuff. And I do put some effort into interacting. But I think if anyone's, not that I know much, I've only got almost 500 followers, so it's not that many. But I think if I've learned anything from Instagram, rather than trying to better your own account, I think it's more important just to kind of be nice to people on there.
Yeah.
And this comes from a couple of years of like trying to figure Instagram out. I don't really think there is anything to figure out personally. I think you just need to try and support people that you like. So you look through hashtags and stuff, and you can find shots that you like, and you just got to try and be supportive with it.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the way Instagram works, at least for me now. And it takes a bit of a pressure off of, oh, I'm not doing 3 hours a day. I'm not doing 4 hours a day. That doesn't really matter. I think going through and being nice to people is the main thing. And with my photography, I'm glad it doesn't look like I just pick up my camera and shoot, but truthfully, that is kind of what I do. I go out and I see things and I think, okay, and I compose for a minute, and then I think of angles, and then I shoot them from the angles. I don't necessarily, go out and do recce's or go out and look at places first. I kind of just go and shoot. I'm very reactive and visually minded. So I'm glad it doesn't look like it, but for sure, that is exactly what I do. I don't plan very much.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate it, man. I've actually looked to a couple of your photos for inspiration and stuff. And like I said, great job, man. On Instagram, you were _Dylan's View, DYLANSVIEW, dylansview.com. Looks like we're almost at our time limit, so I'm gonna wrap it up, man. But thanks again for joining me. This is one of many parts, but I'm glad I got to meet you and talk to you because, like I said, I just want to know where your head was at with everything because, again, great shots. And I think the good thing about everything now and the way photography is really being picked up by people is we're getting a whole bunch of different people, different views. It's making it hard for people to be kind of snobbish with photography. But I think that there's a lot more, there's just a lot more creators out there. And so you have a lot more people to draw inspiration from. And so every day that I open up Instagram or anything, even on YouTube, seeing people go out and create and seeing people create things that I think are beautiful just really encourages me to continue to do what I do. I don't do it professionally anymore, but I just love picking up a camera, and seeing stuff like yours really helps me out with that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm honored to be on the first episode, so thanks for that. But yeah, I think for me at least, it's all just reactive. It's all just off the cuff, and that's what I love about it. I know sometimes you do need to plan and you need to think about things. For example, if you're shooting like an advertising campaign or something, you need to plan that. But if you're just shooting for you and you're shooting just to show people, trying to express yourself through images like I am and like you are, I think the beauty in it is just picking it up, just picking your camera up and going. I think that's what I love about it. I also love the editing side of things.
Yeah.
Just trying to draw an emotion or trying to bring some emotion out somewhere from something, because I think when you're on Instagram, you're always scrolling and just going and going and going and not thinking too much. But I think if you're fortunate enough to get someone to stop on your photo and think, hey, that's really nice, and then them like it or you like someone else's, that's success in itself, I think.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I look for when I'm looking for other people's work, and I imagine it happened with you as well. And that's probably the reason we're speaking right now. I was probably looking through a hashtag, I saw something you did, and I thought, I like that. So I would say, well done, really nice, something like that. So provided that you're doing that, I think you'll be happy, really, in terms of photography, at least.
I think so too. All right, Dylan, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And you have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.